What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical average American here today to react and learn about the truth behind Norwegian stereotypes. I mean, honestly, it seems like every country in the world has stereotypes about it. Some of those stereotypes are bad and harmful. Sometimes the stereotypes are a compliment or kind of positive, but every country has stereotypes. So today, I wanted to focus on the stereotypes in Norway that people around the world believe about Norway. And the way we are going to learn a little about this is by the experiences someone had moving to Norway and living there as an outsider, as a foreigner. So I found this little discussion on Reddit where someone said, I lived in Norway for about 3 years. I had moved there from London, and here are my responses to a few Norwegian stereotypes. So this person moved to Norway after living their entire life in the UK, and they knew about Norwegian stereotypes, and this is their kind of write-up about which ones were accurate, which ones were over-exaggerated, and which Norwegian stereotypes are just not really that true at all, which sounds very, very interesting to me to have this kind of first-hand account of it. So, I'm happy to answer any other questions about other immigrants, potential immigrants have. Number one, Norwegians are unfriendly. Okay, is this really the stereotype Norwegians are unfriendly? I have heard the stereotype that Norwegians are difficult to crack. Like, difficult to become close friends with Norwegians. Not in a bad way. Like, Norwegians, from what I understand, it takes a lot more to get close to Norwegians, to gain a Norwegian's trust and become part of their inner circle, which I think makes a lot of sense. And honestly, that's how you find high value, close friendships and relationships, by really placing an importance on how difficult it is to build up trust. So some people, I think, exaggerate this to Norwegians are just unfriendly. I guess compared to other countries, like maybe the United States and maybe the United Kingdom, where people are just so like open and just talking whenever and kind of invading your personal space and bugging everyone, and it doesn't really matter. That's what our idea of friendly is. So maybe that difference is why some people think Norwegians are unfriendly. But according to this person, I want to hear their account. Norwegians are unfriendly. Not really, at least not from my experience. Well, there you go. It might not even be true. Whilst they tend to be more reserved than people in the UK, right, and surely many other countries, this is more often than not a side effect of being polite and not wanting to intrude. Exactly what I was thinking. It's not that Norwegians are being rude or unfriendly, it's just that they're being respectful and trying to not be rude and overbearing. And the funny thing is, in places like the UK and the US, we're so extreme over here that comes across as closed off or something, as unfriendly. That is so funny how exaggerated that is, huh? My findings are that Norwegians are very happy to engage with someone they share common interests with. For example, I can walk into almost any sports pub, talk about football, and now I'm getting into conversations with people at the gym from just having been around them enough. Yes, like if you're, okay. Honestly, this is good for me to know. I assumed this. Like, Norwegians are just people. Norwegians are just normal people. Like, if you're friendly and there's something to talk about, like, Norwegians will have conversations like normal people. But I've heard that Norwegians don't enjoy mindless small talk about nothing. Norwegians want, like, a purpose to the talking. And that's what this person discovered. So this makes sense from from what I've heard as well. Local Warhammer board game groups will welcome anyone with open arms. Okay, there you go. So the stereotype is Norwegians are unfriendly. Not true. Now, they are definitely not as open and like forthcoming as people in the UK and the US. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing in a way. All right, stereotype number 2. You don't need to learn Norwegian. Huh. I mean, is this a stereotype foreigners have when visiting Norway? It's kind of like Norway is kind of a victim of its own success and intelligence, because I know so many Norwegians are so good at speaking English. So lots of English speakers, like from the United States and the United Kingdom and other places, probably believe they can get by in Norway just using English. And honestly, I would think that you can. I would have believed this stereotype, that you can probably get by in Norway with just English. If you're going to live in Norway and you're going to work there, you should definitely put some effort in and learn Norwegian. Definitely. But I think if you're going to go somewhere as a tourist for vacation, it's okay if you go to Norway and you don't speak much Norwegian, but you should put a little effort in. But yeah, Norway is kind of a victim of its own intelligence in a way. So, stereotype, you don't need to learn Norwegian. True to a certain degree, but you're mad if you don't at least try. Exactly. You should at least try a little bit. I'm blessed with a knack for language, so I am very comfortable in Norwegian now, but still drop in a few English words here and there when necessary. Like most cultures, Norwegians tend to react more positively when you are at least giving it a go. Exactly. I think if you are the foreigner, you are traveling to someone else's country, someone else's culture. You are the guest. You need to put in the effort to be respectful and pay attention to what you need to know, and to put in a little effort to actually understand the culture and the language, or else you just come across as rude, like you don't care, which I'm sure a lot of people do. But yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, I understand why English speakers might be confused on this, because Norway is so English friendly. I get it. Being English or speaking English as a native can actually be a bad thing, since you can always just rely on Norwegians' excellent English in a conversation. This means one has to try a bit harder, but your life here will be all the richer through the lens of language. Definitely, if you are gonna live in Norway, you would be crazy not to learn Norwegian. I think that would just be disrespectful and crazy. If you're literally not going to learn the national language, that would just be. But I assume if you're living in Norway, most people do try to learn the language. Finding better jobs in Norway also becomes easier, because your native level English isn't as valuable to a country as it would be elsewhere, due to the fact that everyone grew up watching Allo Allo and understanding it. Yeah, the fact that you speak English in Norway isn't even special. Like, you're not going to be able to help out a Norwegian company that much, even if you speak English, if that is your only skill, because Norwegians mostly understand English in general. It's pretty amazing, by the way. Like, that an entire country of people are almost all bilingual. That is, like, so impressive. Honestly, it makes me feel a little embarrassed for the United States and other places. We should just be trying to make people more bilingual. In the United States, it is so rare for someone to speak 2 languages. It's like a superpower. It's you never see that, ever. It's like Americans are I'm amazed by it. Americans are amazed by it. So that I'm so impressed with Norway as a culture, honestly. All right, stereotype number 3. Norwegian food is bad. Who? Who came up with this one? Norwegian food is bad. I have never thought that. I mean, I've thought Norwegian food can include a lot of seafood, and Americans like myself, we're not really familiar with seafood. We don't eat a lot of seafood, so it can kind of gross us out. There's some other there are a couple strange Norwegian there's some strange Norwegian dishes I can think of, honestly. Uh, like, is there blood pudding or liver paste? And yeah, there's some strange ones. But bad, like Norwegian food being bad is not a stereotype I've ever heard of. So, yes and no. What is called a sausage here is enough to make an Englishman or German weep. But okay, we're talking about sausage, which is a British thing, but not like an American thing. But once you get past the more processed products, you'll quickly see that produce here is excellent. Quality cheese, meat, and root vegetables from Norway are easily as good, if not better, than back home. Okay, so this person's very complimentary of Norwegian food and raw food, except for the sausage. Because apparently British people are very particular about sausage, I just learned. Of course, the choice isn't as wide with certain things, and I still often use the immigrant shop to find things like good tea, but if you know your way around a kitchen, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, there's a lot of focus on homegrown produce when possible, which I'm into. Yeah, Norway does seem to be into like pretty organic, homegrown, or whole food. Pretty healthy stuff. Everything I've seen in videos of like Norwegian food is usually like pretty healthy, honestly, especially compared to America. The stuff we eat is so processed and so bad for you. I don't think we have any room to talk. Like, American food is so bad for you. It tastes good, but it's terrible for you. So the stereotype Norwegian food is bad. Are we talking about just food in general in Norway, or are we talking about traditional Norwegian food? Because there is some traditional Norwegian food that is a little scary to foreigners, but I certainly wouldn't say bad. Restaurants are also only getting better, with more immigrants making Norway their home, bringing cuisine with them, and the Norwegian restaurants serving Scandinavian are going through a renaissance. Oh, cool, cool. All right, Norwegian food is not bad. Stereotype debunked. Stereotype number 4, the weather is bad. I mean, is this a stereotype? I feel like Norway is just famous because the weather is extreme. I don't know if we have to call it bad, but it's extreme, and it's very cold a lot of the time, right? And it gets dark, and yeah, I mean, there might be a little truth to this stereotype. Isn't that why Norwegians kind of enjoy skiing, taking the most of the cold weather? And Norwegians also enjoy vacationing outside of Norway to other countries where it's warm. So even Norwegians need a break from the Norwegian weather, right? The cold, was it Ingen darlig vær? Vær darlig klær? What does that mean? Can I look this up? It means that there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Is this a Norwegian saying? There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing, right? Because it's in your power to dress accordingly. Okay, I like that. I like that. The cold and dark can get to you, yes. But where else can I skate on a lake for 3 months and swim in it in the summer? You have to embrace the snowy time, getting into skiing, or buying spikes for your shoes. Yes, okay, so the weather can be bad. This isn't like a stereotype so much as a fact. The weather in Norway is extreme. It can be cold, but you can take advantage of it. You can learn to enjoy the good parts of that, like skating on ice and skiing, and then also taking a break and vacationing to warmer places. And also, Norway has some periods of time when it's kind of pleasant, right? Warm, summer. Okay, that's like the first one that's kind of has some truth to it. All right, Norwegian stereotype number 5. Norway is expensive. This is one I have heard many, many times. Norway is expensive. I am a bit curious, like exactly how much more expensive it is compared to like the United States, and also how much do Norwegians make? Do they make a lot more money, so it kind of offsets how expensive everything is, or yes, it is. Okay, so this stereotype, this person says it's true. Yes, it is expensive, but it doesn't feel so expensive now that I live in Norway. When my partner was long distance, going to the pub or shops would make my eyes water and my bank account sweat. But now I'm earning a Norwegian wage and it feels fair. Wow, this actually answers my question. Exactly. So Norwegians do earn a little more money to make up for how expensive stuff is, or at least in this person's experience. Of course, the taxes and import costs are high here at the top of the world, but it's a rare day when I can't buy generally what I want, and I'm not on megabucks by any stretch of the imagination. Public transportation, childcare, and family activities in Norway is much cheaper than England. Interesting. So there's some stuff that's actually cheaper in Norway. Norway good. This is the recap of Norwegian stereotypes. Norway good. Learn Norwegian language. It's not that expensive when you have a Norwegian wage. The weather can be bad, but you can dress accordingly. Norwegian food can be shocking, but mostly good. You need to learn Norwegian. Norwegians are friendly if you have something to talk about, and when you get to know them a little better. There you have. That's what I'm taking away from all this. Let's see some of the comments here. I'm happy this is comments from Norwegians commenting on this, so this will be interesting. I'm happy you've taken the time and effort to start learning the language. Not having to learn Norwegian is a nuanced issue, and depends on how long and what people are here for. Yes, if you're living in Norway for a long time, you should try to learn it. I don't expect foreign workers to learn the language perfectly if they plan to leave in 3 years. Okay, interesting. Any more comments here? Really happy it's come together for you. I'm in the same boat. Oh, this is another person, who a foreigner who went to Norway. Got to say, when people speak of Norwegian impoliteness or coldness, in my experience, it's not true. Norwegians are absolutely some of the friendliest, most welcoming people I've met to date. See, this is nice to hear. I feel like people need to learn this if they are stuck on this stereotype of Norwegians being unfriendly, just because Norwegians are a little more closed off, a little more respectful of personal space. People think it means unfriendly, and that's just not true. That being said, I've put that down to a similar culture of London. Mind your own business, leave me alone in peace unless there's a good reason. Okay, so Norwegians are a little like Londoners. Mind your own business, stay in your own lane, leave me in peace unless there's a good reason. Then we can have a nice conversation. All right? That honestly, as an American, I agree with that. I love that. I love a lot of Norwegian culture, honestly. All right. And there you have it. Man, okay, that was quite a few stereotypes we went through. And as I kind of thought, seemed like a lot of Norwegian stereotypes are blown out of proportion. There might be a little truth. As with many stereotypes, there's sometimes a little truth, but they're completely blown out of proportion. Like way exaggerated. And I think that's what happened. That's what happens with some of the Norwegian stereotypes. So this is actually very nice to learn about this and to set the record straight for myself and maybe other people who were wondering about this sort of thing. So I thought this was great. Enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment, perhaps with what you think about Norwegian stereotypes and which ones are true and which ones are wrong and anything like that. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway and Norwegian culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.